What show got an absolute S plus in my opinion?
SCP, that's the one.
That's right. Squared Circle Pros Tornado Slam. What a show. From start to finish. Damn.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We had the news we received yesterday of the passing of Terry Funk is one that hits all of us, especially us here in West Texas, really, really hard. Terry Funk was a legend in every sense of the word. He is the reason West Texas wrestling is what it is. Hardcore legend, a legend outside the ring. There's
You don't have to. Please just let me finish the conversation. I don't want to do this. I don't. Just. No! Look at this! This belongs to me! Not you! None of this! Jim, this belongs to me! Me! I earned this! Not you!
And even beat him. Sorry to say, but he's a legend. But to be the best, you must beat the best, you know. And I feel like I can beat him. So Chavo, I'm calling you out. I said, come on.
There it is. Chavo Guerrero, right there. You heard it. Emilio Guzman calling you out, and I'm not gonna lie, love Chavo to death, but Team Emilio right here. That's where I have to go. You're okay. I don't know if he's watching live, but it spoke with Scar a little earlier today, and I know he's going to be watching the podcast a little later on. He's doing a little training right now. But there you heard it, Scar. He said he's going to break out of it. Like live on the podcast. He said he can break out of your podcast, or break out of your bear hug. So when you see it,
clip it.
when you see this now, you know what he looks like.
The chat, we have the official tagline for Tornado Slam. So y'all use that information. Go get you a ticket.
It'll be out on our socials. It's on Squared Circle Pros socials as well.
We will be there.
We will be there.
We will be there.
We will be there. You're going to be in Florida with Mickey doing Mickey Mouse stuff.
Yeah. Oh.
Again, table. There will possibly be a table there that might or might not have something to do with the match. Come out and see us. I want to say thank you again to everybody in the chat. Thank you to the boys for being here tonight. I want to say thank you to Ross and the boys from Labor 12 for being here. With these guys every time.
We're there.
Okay.
What you think?
So The Rock is on Buddy's list. The Rock is on my list. The Rock is on your list. The Rock is on our chat's list. The real question that we need to ask the Not Your Average Mark Wrestling podcast is, can any of us here smell what The Rock is cooking?
It doesn't matter if you smell.
Oh my goodness, it doesn't.
But it's things like that. It doesn't matter. Having the Macho Man Chris Wolf out there was very good for me. There was something that I really wish Little Guapo could have been there for, because it's a throwback, in my opinion, to the Attitude Era days. Because said trash can that was being used to beat upon Logan Knight got placed on Logan Knight. And they were taking turns just beating him up in the trash can. And it was great.
That's definitely.
Of course, everybody knows, as everybody knows, we've got BCW Wild Horses in Wilson, Texas coming up on February 3rd. And in preparation for that, next week, live on the Not Your Average Mark Wrestling podcast, we will have the one, the only, Exodus Prime as our special guest. AEW star.
Really?
I was going to say, apparently there's some kind of football game going on tonight. Huh?
Thaddeus and Elise, they owe me and Malia dinner now, so get ready.
W right
What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Not Your Average Mark Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, the tutorial boss, Guapo. Welcome to what's going to be a great show. Now, I know what you're thinking, and I'm going to go ahead and address it before you say anything. You're thinking to yourself, Guapo, what the hell? Where were you last week? Well, we had all kinds of crazy storms. We had call-outs. Just didn't happen last week, but we are back this week, and we are ready for a hell of a show. Before we jump into it, of course, want to do my thank yous. Want to thank Ross and the boys from Labor 12 for our intro, outro music. Track's called Head Rush, album's called Monsters. They're working on like music videos. They're working on new music. Check them out, labor12.com. That's laborxii.com. You will not regret it. Bangers, every one of their songs. So make sure you check that out. I want to say thank you to Joseph and American Legacy for our merch. Of course, we got your Not Your Average Mark Wrestling Podcast hats. We've got beanies. We've got skull caps. Had the opportunity to sell a few of those at the BCW Head Games show. So thank you to those that picked those up. If it's something you're interested in, get a hold of me. You can get me on any of the socials. We can get it all figured out for you. Of course, we'll have everything live at the shows. But thank you to American Legacy, Joe. You rock. Appreciate you. Of course, also want to say thank you to J-Rebs 3D Printing. Look at this piece of badness right here. Making all the flashes. 3D printed, made specially for us by J-Rebs 3D Printing. If you have a logo, if you have just something you think would look good like that, give J-Reb a call, give him a shout. You can find him at jrebs3dprinting.com, or you can find him as Cameron Nichols on Facebook. And lastly, of course, want to thank heckyeahradio.com. If you go to heckyeahradio.com, there's a button there that says Not Your Average Mark Wrestling Podcast. If you happen to miss a show at some point, you can click on that button and catch the audio version of all of our shows. We have a link to it there. So thank you to TJ and Rick and everybody over at heckyeahradio.com for setting that up for us. What a week it's been. Man, it's been something. So let's jump into this week in review. Now, things have been crazy. Personally, things have been crazy over the last week with call outs and storms, and Chunk has been just active as can be. Soon he's going to make his second appearance on the show. Kind of excited about that. But one of the crazy things that has been going on, of course, would be our weekend reviews. We're going to start with SmackDown. We got to see Cody Rhodes and Logan Paul, middle of the ring, sign their contract. Supposed to be title versus title. The Universal Championship versus the United States Championship. But no. Logan Paul ain't having it. He doesn't want to put his title on the line. He just wants Cody to put his title on the line. Cody ends up signing, but just goes off on Logan. Of course, Logan runs out of the ring. One of his boys jumps in and gets put through a table. It seems to happen to his friends. Like, being a friend of Logan Paul is not a good thing right now, because when you are, inevitably you're going to go through a table. That's just, it is what it is. Cody ended his promo holding that USA title, and all you could hear was Logan Paul, "That's mine. That's my title." We're going to get into King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring predictions here a little later in the show. I got a few things to say about that. Seraph in the chat saying Logan Paul sucks in his opinion. Man, me too. I am not. Don't get me wrong. When he's in a match, it's a banger match. It's going to be a spot fest, and you're going to get those moments. But just as a person, I don't like him. I'm not a big fan at all. We also had a couple of qualifying matches to get into the semifinals of the King of the Ring tournament. We had Randy Orton going against Carmelo Hayes. This match was good. I mean, I've always liked Carmelo Hayes. I thought he's a great talent, and putting him in the ring with Randy Orton only made that talent shine more. And I've got to say, this match ended with what may have been the best RKO and best RKO sell I've ever seen. Randy Orton, of course, coming out on top with that. So he's going into the semifinals tomorrow night. And he will be facing the winner of our next match. We had LA Knight versus Tama Tonga. Going into this, I was not happy, because I'm thinking to myself, I know what's fixing to happen here. LA Knight is going to have to lose this one. And I am a huge LA Knight fan. Yeah. But this was a clinic. Like LA Knight was on top of it. He made that one small mistake of taking his eye off Tama Tonga and getting into it with Solo. Ended up costing him the match. Tama Tonga gets the win. Tama Tonga didn't beat LA Knight. LA Knight beat LA Knight. So we get tomorrow night Randy Orton versus Tama Tonga to see who it's going to be going against Gunther at King of the Ring. Of course, we also had a couple of Queen of the Ring qualifying matches as well. We had Bianca Belair versus Tiffany Stratton. Tiffy Tang. It was a good match. Let me start by saying that. It was a really awesome match, and Tiffany shone in this one. Like, her wrestling is on point. I don't like the attitude, I don't like the character, but her wrestling is on point. In the end, Bianca Belair able to get the win in this one. She's moving on. And that brings us to the last one. You have Jade Cargill versus Nia Jax. I was 100% Jade Cargill's got this. There's no way Jade Cargill doesn't get this. You're going to have Jade Cargill versus Bianca Belair. I think it's a little too soon for that, but how do you not get that, right? Well, I can tell you how you don't get that. They got into a fight. It wasn't a wrestling match. It was a fight, and got to the point that Jade Cargill grabbed a chair that Nia Jax was going to hit her with and hit Nia Jax. The ref calls the match. Nia Jax is moving on. Jade Cargill was furious. So that sets us up with Bianca Belair versus Nia Jax tomorrow night on SmackDown. Looking forward to that one. That's going to be a good one. That was SmackDown. All in all, I dug it. It was a good show for what it is. You know, it's getting everything lined up for King and Queen of the Ring. I give it a solid B. It was a solid B. I'm looking over at the chat. See Mikey's here. Mikey, what's up, man? Glad to see you in the chat tonight. Of course, as I'm going through this, anybody in the chat, make sure you say hi. Make sure you give your opinions on the matches. I want to hear about all of it. That takes us into Raw. Raw's kind of the same thing. We had a lot of semifinals. We had Jey Uso versus Gunther. This was a good match. And when I say that Jey Uso probably couldn't breathe for a couple of days, I feel like that's legitimate, because he had to be 3,432 chops from Gunther in this match. Like, how his entire chest is not just hamburger meat, I don't know. But you could see the marks. You could see the whelps. Like, he was hurt, and he was down to one arm. Like, he had an arm that wasn't playing happy. So in the end, Gunther gets the win. He is going on to Saudi Arabia. He is in the finals and will take on either Tama Tonga or Randy Orton this Saturday at King and Queen of the Ring. We had a Queen of the Ring semifinal as well. Lyra Valkyria versus Io Sky. I kind of figured Io Sky was going to get this, because Lyra Valkyria, she's so. I kind of figured Io Sky. I mean, she's been tearing it up in NXT, but she's so new to the main roster, and she's getting that push, like getting a really, really good push. So I wasn't really expecting her to win this one. It was a great match. A lot of moves that I haven't seen before. There was this submission move that Valkyria put Io Sky in that I was hurting while I was watching it. I wasn't sure what to think about that. Wrapped her legs up and then grabbed her arms and pulled up. Like, it just looked like it hurt. In the end, though, Lyra Valkyria able to get the W. So she is going on and will face either Bianca Belair or Nia Jax. We'll find that out tomorrow night. And that will happen at King and Queen of the Ring in Saudi Arabia. We also had our World Tag Team Championship match. Awesome Truth versus Finn Balor and JD McDonough of the Judgment Day. This match set up last week after a and his name is John Cena. Find out who's number one contender. Looking over at the chat, J-Red, what's up, brother? Cameron making it into the chat, getting that subscription. 11 months, man. I can't tell you how much we appreciate it. See, my boy Cameron, he's the one that made this badass sign right here, by the way. he's holding it down for us. You know, we got this Texas thing covered. He's holding it down for us in California. So, Cameron, appreciate you, brother. We get into this World Tag Team Championship match. It was a lot of exactly what you thought it would be, a lot of back and forth, back and forth. In the end, Awesome Truth retains their titles, and I couldn't be happier about it. I don't think they're long for those belts, but I just don't want them to. I just don't want them to lose the belts to Finn Balor and JD McDonough. It is what it is. I like the Judgment Day. Don't get me wrong. The Judgment Day is a cool stable. My problem is Finn Balor. You may be thinking to yourself, how can you have a problem with Finn Balor? This is my problem with Finn Balor. He is far too talented to be doing what he's doing. Like, there was a point where Damian Priest during Raw, after they lost, was like, you need to step it up because I don't even recognize you anymore. And walks off, and instead of Finn Balor being Finn Balor, he was like, big man, and trying to follow him out. And I'm like, this is not the Finn Balor that I know. You know, the Demon Finn Balor, the Balor Club, the Bullet Club. Where's that Finn Balor? Trips, if you're listening, and let's face it, we know he's listening. Bring back the right Finn Balor, man. You know, the Demon King. That's what we need. It needs to happen. It needs to be a thing. One other match in Raw to talk about, and that was Sami Zayn going against Chad Gable for the, I don't know, grudge match, basically. Sami Zayn came out, cut a great promo over the triple threat that's going to happen at King and Queen of the Ring. It's him, Chad Gable, Bronson Reed. It's going to be a good match. There's no question about that. But he broke it down to the heart and the soul of the match. And the experience, like he broke it all down. And Chad Gable comes out and he's like, I shouldn't have to do all of this. You know, I shouldn't have to put up with you, and I certainly shouldn't have to put up with these idiots behind me, talking about the Alpha Academy. And goes back to, you know, calling Otis, who is a fan favorite, calling Otis a absolute, total and complete disappointment, the biggest disappointment in the Alpha Academy. I can't stand that. Well, they get into their match, and Tozawa, like all of them except Otis, they refuse to get involved. Chad Gable's furious about it, and Otis starts to get involved, and then he stops, and Chad Gable gets out and just yells and screams at him, and then slaps him right across his face for the second time. He did that last week too, and he ends up getting involved, costs Sammy the match. Chad Gable gets the win, but there was something that came up after that where Otis goes up to him and goes up to Sammy and says, "I'm sorry." And I like where they're going with this. It's become obvious that with the heel turn from Chad Gable, that he's going to end up with somebody else. The Alpha Academy is going to fall apart. Like, it's not hard to tell that. He's going to end up with somebody else, and I think that he may get a third slap in on Otis before Otis comes unglued and just beats the hell out of him. And I'm all about it. But I do like this heel turn Chad Gable. Like, he reminds me of, you know, everybody calls him Perk Angle whenever Kurt got all intense because he was on all the pills. But Perk Gable, I'm digging it. Like, I think this is going to be a good push for him. I think it's going to be a good angle for him. And I'm interested to see where it goes. All in all, Raw went really well. Braun Breaker, we need to talk about him for a minute. Braun Breaker had a match, and if you want to call it that, just absolutely decimated the guy he was in the ring with. Apologies, I don't remember his name, but just absolutely decimated him to the point that they put him on a stretcher, loaded him in an ambulance, and he tells Adam Pearce, "This is on you." And Adam Pearce ain't having it. And we get Ilya Dragunov talking later in the show. And Ricochet comes and interrupts, and here comes Braun Breaker. He ends up pushing Ricochet ends up pushing Ilya Dragunov out of the way and just getting slammed into the crates. And he's hurt. And once again, Braun Breaker says, I do what I want to do. You can't control me. This is on you because you didn't put me in the King of the Ring tournament. So I'm interested to see where they go with Braun Breaker and this whole you can't control me thing. All in all, great show. I will give Raw, as it was the Raw going into King and Queen of the Ring, I will give it an A-. Like, I would like to have seen a little more building, but I'll give it an A-. It was not a bad show. Talking about shows, by not having the podcast last week, I missed the opportunity to get to talk about BCW Head Games. That, of course, happened back on the 11th. That was a hell of a show. If you were there, you know what I'm talking about. If you weren't, you missed a show. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what happened at that show. We had Emilio Guzman, the not so friendly neighborhood vato. You know, he's just, he's mean now. I ain't gonna lie. He's very focused. He doesn't care what the crowd has to say anymore. Emilio's about Emilio now. And you can tell that when he gets in the ring. So Emilio Guzman versus one half of the BCW old school tag team champions, Jason Zane. Now, there was some stipulations to this one. If Emilio beat Jason Zane, then he gets to get a partner of his choosing and gets to challenge the Resistance, our BCW old school tag team champions, in July at Hot Blooded. They had a really great match. There's 2 or 3 different times I thought Emilio had this, but in the end, Jason Zane pulls out the win. Emilio doesn't get that opportunity, and you know he's not happy about it, and I really feel like this isn't over yet. We had Michael Darkheart versus Smoke the Reaper. This was kind of a grudge match. Like, these guys have known each other for years, and they've been back and forth. They've been fighting like all over South Texas, and they brought that grudge match, that feud they've been having. They brought it to West Texas and put on a hell of a show. In the end, Smoke the Reaper gets the win. And in something I always like to see, at the end of the match, Smoke the Reaper holds up his Oasis Championship belt, said it's not even about this anymore, offers his hand. Michael Darkheart says no, starts to get out of the ring, stops, comes, gives the man a hug. They take this beef that they've had for all these years and they finally set it aside. You love to see it. It was awesome. Not only that, they put on a great match. I mean, it was good. We had Big Ced from Guerrilla Militia going against Marcus MD. Marcus MD making his debut at BCW Pro Wrestling. And when I tell you that this was a bit of a mismatch, this was a bit of a mismatch. Marcus MD, quick as hell. Like, that was his advantage, was he can get out of the way, because Big Ced is a beast, no question about that. But as soon as he stops you and he gets his hands on you, it's over. That's been the MO since Guerrilla Militia has showed up at BCW. And it's no different here. He tore up Marcus MD, spent a little too much time worried about me and what I had to say. Should have spent a little more time paying attention to his match. But as it was over, he walked over to our interviewer, and his entire interview pointed at me and at the podcast, saying that whoever you put in front of me, I'm gonna beat him. Big Ced, you're a beast, man. I don't mind saying that. You said you were coming in to dominate BCW, and that is exactly what you've done. But you need to back off talking with me, bro. You're a big man. You're bigger than me. I get that. I understand. But see, y'all messed with my son, and now you're looking at me, telling me I need to watch out, and I better be ready. I'm ready, bro. I know it sounds crazy to hear me say that. I'm not a wrestler. I mean, I get that, but our conversation is coming, Big Ced. We're gonna have that talk. I get you're the concrete gorilla. We're gonna have that talk. So I know you told me I need to get ready. You get ready for that conversation, all right? Sorry, got a little. And his name is John Cena. We have one hell of a fatal 4-way. Get this, all right? Oh, I'm looking over here. Rick in the house. What's up, Rick? Rick just subscribed also for 11 months. Rick, brother, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for that. Rick, actually, my co-commentator at BCW. That was a lot of fun. Wasn't real sure what to think about the Big Said, the Big Said and myself, the interaction between us two. Rick was ready to make a hasty exit if Big Said came anywhere near the stage we were on. So I don't blame you, Rick. I mean, that's a big dude. He really is. But this fatal 4-way that I was talking about, get this: Jeb Bingham, Max Beckett, the Thunderbird, Damon McCullough, and Dorian Robinson, all in the same ring, all at the same time. It's exactly what it sounds like. It was absolutely amazing. They kind of paired off a little bit. Max Beckett, Dorian Robinson, taking it to Jeb and Damo. There was a lot of in the ring, out of the ring, just all over the place fighting in this. When it's all said and done, Damo McCullough able to get the pin. He gets the win. And it was a hell of a match. Like, it was really, really good. Damn it, he saw the video. J-Reb talking about need more of that guapo wobble. Yeah. So when we went to Oklahoma, Mr. Wobble was there. You know, the music hits, and what are you gonna? You got to do the wobble, and I did, and it's on video, and it's on the interwebs now. And damn it. Oh, but congrats to Damo on this, to all these guys, really. I mean, it was an awesome, awesome match. Plug YouTube. You can see that, Sarah saying, plug YouTube here. You can see this match, all these matches that we're talking about right now for BCW Head Games, for the BCW show in Oklahoma, and for all of our shows here, Not Your Average Mark Wrestling Podcast. You can go to youtube.com/@NotYourAverageMark. You can catch them all there. I think it was 2 days ago that Head Games was put up on ours. It was also put up on the BCW YouTube page, so you can catch both of those shows there as well. Make sure you're checking those out, because these shows are awesome, and they're awesome because of the fans, because of you guys. So make sure you're checking them out. We had another match for a possibility at going against the BCW Old School Tag Team Champions. TJ Slater, one half of Team Nefarious, along with Atticus Wild. Atticus Wild not there, handling some nefarious business, as it were. TJ Slater going up against Nathan Briggs. And Nathan Briggs, he put up a hell of a fight. And there was times I couldn't stop laughing. Like, he went out in the crowd, sat down for a minute, and just kind of checked it out and decided what he was going to do next. In the end, TJ Slater able to pull out the win. So in July at Hot Blooded, July 13th, I believe it is, at Hot Blooded, we will have Team Nefarious, TJ Slater, and Atticus Wild going up against the Resistance. That, of course, Jason Zane, Nathan Briggs. It's going to be good. Like, I'm excited for this match. We also had Justin Taylor going up against Nate Collins, the living proof himself. I was kind of went into this one wondering which living proof Justin Taylor we were going to get. Was it going to be the living proof, the personification of motivation that we see all the time, or was it going to be the guy we saw at Squared Circle Pro who dropped an F-bomb? You heard me. Justin Taylor dropped an F-bomb. That's how mad he was. And he was that mad at Nate Collins. So seeing that they had this match together, this match was everything you could want it to be. It started out move for move for move for move for move, just that quick. And this was a clinic in professional wrestling. If you missed it, you need to go to YouTube and you need to watch this match, because an absolute clinic. In the end, Justin Taylor able to win, able to retain his BCW Heavyweight Championship. Was happy to see it. We had a triple threat for the BCW Texas Championship. Of course, your BCW Texas champion, the defender of truth, Gabriel Alexander, going up against his former partner, Mac the Franchise. They, of course, were the West Texas Kings, and then the both of them up against Chris Watson. Let me not make fun of Chris Watson on this one, because I'll be the first to say Chris Watson put up a hell of a match. All three of these guys did. Really thought Mac had it there for a little while, but in the end, Gabe able to pull it out. He is still your BCW Texas champion. Then we came down to the one everybody wanted to know about. The one everybody was waiting for, the unsanctioned grudge match. Mike Caldwell, Mikey in the chat, up against the Spotlight Logan Knight. This has been something that's been building and building and building. And this was it. Mike said going into this was a one and done. The best man will win, and that's what it's going to be. And Mike came out, and it wasn't the Mike I'm used to seeing. There were no smiles. There were nothing. Like, he was just focused on Logan, and you could tell it by the way he hit him. He threw Logan into the corner and came through with a clothesline, and I kid you not, the entire ring shifted. That's how much power Mike put behind that clothesline. Of course, when you have Logan Knight out, you also have the Country Devil. Country Devil tried to get involved a couple of times, and it was that last time that it caused an issue, because Logan ended up getting a choker chain, like the kind you put on a dog. Yeah. He gets one of those, comes into the ring with it, puts it around Mikey's neck, wraps his arm around it where the ref can't see it, and Mikey goes out. And I hate to say it, Logan got the win. It was a cheap win, and it was a dirty win, but Logan Knight did get the win. And we, as fans, got the opportunity to see Mikey in the middle of the ring, take his boots off, take his elbow pads off, thank everybody for all their support of his in-ring work. And Mike Caldwell has officially retired from in-ring competition. And Mike, I know you're kind of in and out right now. If you're still here, thank you. You know, we started the Thank You Mike chant. We started the Love You Mike chant. Thank you for everything you did in the ring. I hate to see him not be in the ring anymore, but he is still going to be, of course, Director of Operations, BCW Texas. So Mike ain't gone. He's just not going to strap up the boots anymore. All in all, it was a great show. It was a lot of fun. Got the opportunity to meet some fans. I'm going to tell you how, I appreciate you guys and how you show up every week for the show. Like, it does my heart good to see you guys every day. But I can't tell you how much it threw me, how humbling it was for somebody to come up where we were standing at merch during intermission, to come up and say, hey, I'm a big fan of the podcast. Can I get a picture with you? I can't even explain how humbling that was. So to that young lady, thank you for that experience. It was awesome for me. I appreciate you coming over and talking to me. And I invite any of you guys, if you're at the show, come see us. We love talking to you guys. So, as always, BCW put on a hell of a show. Head Games was awesome. It was for autism research. We had actually partnered with the Burkhart Center for Autism Education and Research, and all of the proceeds, all of the profit from that show going to the Burkhart Center. So, good on Mikey for that. That it's such a great cause, and it's a personal cause to me, and so I think that's awesome. All in all, it was an A+ show. I dug it. The match with Mikey and Logan was just absolute insanity. Want to take a moment here before we start getting into King of the Ring predictions. From what I understand, Little Guapo going to be joining us here shortly. Let me check the Guapo phone here and find out what's going on. Yeah, he should be here shortly. Before we get into our King of the Ring predictions, I do want to say, if you get the opportunity, make sure you check out the socials. Hit the likes, hit the subscribes. We've had J-Rev and Rick both subscribe here on Twitch. Click all the things. Click the likes, click the subscribes, the bells, click all the things. And that will be a shirt here shortly. We're getting everything together for it. It's going to have the Not Your Average Mark logo on the front. It's going to say click all the things on the back. We will have those available for everybody soon. With that, and YouTube channels, because I don't want to get yelled at again. Make sure you're checking out the YouTube. We've got all sorts of good stuff on there. We actually have probably next week said something about if we hit 100, we have different milestones. Said if we hit 150 followers that we would have a video that we would put out, because when we hit milestones, Guapo does stupid things, and that's exactly what it did. And we're gonna have a video to play next week for that. But we have all sorts of content out there, and we want you guys to be a part of all of it. We want you to see all of it. So make sure you check out all the socials. Make sure you check out our YouTube. Check out BCW's YouTube, Squared Circle Pro's YouTube. You can get your daily fix of independent wrestling right there. And of course, get your fix of the Not Your Average Mark Wrestling Podcast. Now that we've got all the plugging out of the way, let's get into this King of the Ring. King and Queen of the Ring taking place in Saudi Arabia this Saturday. 5 matches. And I dig the fact that they're doing this. I like that they're doing the smaller number of matches and giving these matches time to unfold. So we've got 5 matches. We have Gunther versus whoever wins out of Randy Orton and I forgot who Randy's going up. Oh, Tama Tonga. So Gunther versus whoever wins out of Randy Orton and Tama Tonga. We have Lyra Valkyria against whoever wins out of Nia Jax and Bianca Belair. We have the triple threat, Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable versus Bronson Reed for the Intercontinental title. We have Becky Lynch going up against Liv Morgan for the women's title. And of course, we have Cody versus Logan Paul. Mikey in the chat saying it's going to be Orton. And I kind of feel that way too. And that's kind of what I want to talk about is those 2 matches before we get into the actual King of the Ring. Of course, these matches on SmackDown tomorrow night. I really don't see any way that Tama Tonga versus Gunther makes any sense, at all. So I'm with you in that, Mikey, that I feel like it's going to be Randy Orton. Either one of these guys. I mean, you think of Randy Orton, 14-time world champion. He's done all the things as far as the WWE is concerned. But King of the Ring is something that he can add to that lengthy resume of his. So it would make sense for him to win it. Of course, Gunther, your longest running Intercontinental champion, 666 days. Either one of those guys, I could see winning it. Of course, you also get Nia Jax and Bianca Belair tomorrow night to find out who's going to go against Lyra Valkyria. I'm kind of torn on this one. I feel like it's probably going to be Nia Jax. I would like to see Bianca Belair get it, but I don't know. I feel like it's going to be Nia Jax, and when we get into the predictions, I'll give my reasons for that. But it's going to be a good match either way. I don't know what Bianca Belair has to do to get past Nia Jax. I mean, Nia Jax, of course, the immovable object, as it were. She is my pick to win it. And if you're in the chat right now, I want to hear from you. Who do you think's got that? Is it going to be Nia Jax? Is it going to be Bianca Belair? Who's going on to Saudi Arabia? That's what I want to know. What do you guys think about it? Either way, it works out, though. I mean, if you've got Nia Jax and Lyra Valkyria, they've got a rocket strapped to Lyra Valkyria right now. And you put her in the ring against Nia Jax. If she gets that win over Nia Jax, then she has beaten the immovable object. And that rocket continues to take off. If it's not Nia Jax, if it's Bianca Belair, you've got one half of the tag. You've got one half of the women's tag team champions. Plus, she has been a multi-time women's champion. And if Lyra Valkyria is able to get the win over her, then she's got that Bianca rub. And so it works out well either way. Daddy Boss 74 in the chat saying Jax. Mikey saying Jax all the way. I'm with you guys. I think Jax has got it tomorrow night. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of pulling for Lyra Valkyria to get the win over Nia Jax and become Queen of the Ring. Now, let's talk about the King of the Ring for a minute. It started out really, really good. Like, we got Austin 316 because he won a King of the Ring match. That him and Jake, that started Austin 316. And the first few winners of the King of the Ring title went on within 2 years to become champions. But then you look at recently, well, let me not say recently, we can't forget King Booker. That added the comedy aspect to it. And Booker pulled it off well. Like, I was all about the King Booker character. It was awesome. But then, King Kurt and Baron Corbin and who else has been king recently? Sheamus and Xavier Woods. It didn't really do anything for them. Like, it didn't elevate them like something like this should. So I'm hoping that with being under the Triple H regime now, that's something we're moving back to, is that King of the Ring title is there to elevate you. So Mikey's saying this will be the first King of the Ring where they will not make a cartoon character out of it. I hope that's my hope. Like, don't get me wrong. Like I said, the King Booker thing, that was comedy gold, and I loved every minute of it. But like Baron Corbin, yeah, that poor guy. His run as King of the Ring was a joke, and it was like a cartoon character. And same thing with King Kurt. And you can say maybe that cartoon character type thing started with Owen Hart. Yeah, I know people will give me dirty looks because I said Owen Hart, but the comedy aspect kind of started a little bit there with him. But like the last four, it has done absolutely nothing for them. So I really hope you're right, Mikey. I hope that this is going to be the first King of the Ring where they're not going to make a cartoon character out of it. And Queen of the Ring is relatively new, and it's had the same problem that the King of the Ring has. It hasn't done anything to elevate. Now look at Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega won Queen of the Ring, and what did it do for her? Like, she didn't get really over until she got into the LWO, in my opinion, as far as main roster goes. She wasn't very over until then, and that had nothing to do with being Queen of the Ring. So I'm hoping that same importance comes to the Queen of the Ring. Little Guapo just hit me up, said he's almost to the house, so he'll be joining us in for predictions here in just a minute. But let's go ahead and get into it. And of course, Chad, I want to hear from you as well. We'll start with the King of the Ring. We have Gunther versus what I feel like is going to be Randy Orton. And I feel like Gunther wins this one. I feel like he is going to be that piece that legitimizes the King of the Ring. He brought something where I'm talking about King of the Ring elevating somebody. In my opinion, Gunther elevated the IC title. And I feel like he can do the same thing with the title of King of the Ring. So I feel like Gunther takes this one over Randy Orton. I feel like it's going to be a hell of a match. And I have heard, though, that perhaps Gunther loses it due to a run-in from Vinci being kicked out of Imperium. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, if it was an in-state kind of thing, maybe, but I don't see them flying Vinci all the way to Saudi Arabia to do that. So to my friend that brought that to my attention, it would be a cool angle. I just don't see it happening. I think Gunther, I think he takes the RKO and gets past it. And that's what's going to be the, oh, wow, Gunther didn't fall to the RKO, and that's what's going to rattle Randy. Randy's going to lose the match, and Gunther's going to be your king of the ring. That's where I'm at on it. I think that's what we're going to see. Then, of course, we get Lyra Valkyria versus Nia Jax or Bianca Belair. As I said earlier, and as the chat agrees with, I think it's going to be Nia Jax. And I think Lyra pulls it off. I think they're going to use her as that piece in the women's division to elevate. That, I guess that's the word for the night, is elevate. They're going to use Lyra Valkyria to elevate the Queen of the Ring title. And hopefully they're going to use it to elevate to a championship level like they did in the past. I think, like Sarah put in the chat, hashtag elevate. That's our hashtag for the night, elevate. I think Lyra Valkyria is, and this is going to sound weird coming from me, she's a lot like Tiffany Stratton without the annoyances. She is coming out of NXT and just absolutely killing it every time she gets in the ring. The only problem I have, like, I really want her to win it, and that's going to be my prediction, is Lyra Valkyria is going to beat Nia Jax to win. My problem is I need her to have a little more on her resume, because as far as main roster goes right now, she's got a couple of good wins. Like, she made it through the tournament to get to this point where she's going to Saudi Arabia. But aside from those tournament wins, the only things she has on her resume is I'm friends with Becky Lynch. And I need more than that from her. Like, and I think this is where she gets that. You know, I beat Nia Jax. I am the Queen of the Ring. And she can build her persona from that. Not that she doesn't have a good one now, but she can build it up more. She can elevate her persona with that crown. So that's my pick for Queen of the Ring. Lyra Valkyria is going to beat Nia Jax. We get into the triple threat. Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable versus Big Bronson Reed. I am kind of torn on this. Historically, they don't generally move titles in Saudi Arabia. But I feel like this is... I know they wanted Chad Gable and Gunther to go for the IC belt. So there's a lot of fans out there that wanted to see this happen. Sami, of course, Sami's our favorite underdog. Like, you know, he fights back, you know, but I don't think this Sami and heel Gable thing has gotten to the point yet where there needs to be a title change. I think at some point, absolutely, Chad Gable is going to take that title from Sami Zayn. No question about that. That's going to happen. I don't feel like this is the time for that, though. Bronson Reed is going to go in and beat the hell out of both of them, because that's what Bronson Reed does. I don't think Bronson Reed takes the title. I think that Sami and Gable are going to have this moment where they're working together and they realize they're working together, and Gable turns, and it's going to be a whole thing. But I think that in the end, Sami's going to retain, and it's going to go into a program with him and Gable. Like, it's going to start pushing that program. So that's where I think that goes. We've got Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan for the women's title. There's a whole big story here. So Liv's never beat Becky. Liv's on the revenge tour. She's trying to take everything away from Rhea, so she needs to have that belt to do it. And she's motivated because Becky has the belt and she's never beat Becky. There's a lot of story to be had here. I personally think that Becky retains. I don't think we've cooked that, you know, I don't care about anybody but me Liv character yet. I think we need a little more of that, a couple more weeks of it. I think by SummerSlam, Liv ends up with the belt. I don't think it happens here. I do think that Liv is going to work Becky over. Like, it's going to be a match that Becky, it's not just going to be Becky retaining, it's going to be Becky earning that retention. So It's good. I think that one's going to be good. And then, of course, we get Cody versus Logan Paul. This, I don't. So, from a selling point, I understand this match. Anytime you put Logan Paul's name on something, then you get millions of eyeballs on it. It makes sense. Do I think Logan Paul deserves a shot at the Universal Championship? No, I don't. I sure don't. I think that he's doing good right now with the US title. I think he's going to get that taken away from him at SummerSlam, but we'll get into that when it's time for SummerSlam predictions. But I feel like Logan Paul is being fed to Cody. Cody's, there's going to be the spots because there is anytime Logan Paul's in a match. You're going to have some big and amazing spots. But I don't think there's any way that Cody loses his belt to Logan Paul. I just don't see it happening. I'd be interested to know what you guys think about all of these matches. Like, who do you think wins the triple threat? Do you think Becky or Liv gets it? Like, I'm interested to see what you guys think. And if my son will hurry up and get home, I'm definitely interested in what he thinks as well. I don't know. I'm just not a Logan Paul fan. Like I said, from a business standpoint, Logan Paul makes great sense because every time he's a part of something, there's millions of eyes on it. And it makes sense to put him in something. I just don't get where he goes after Cody. Yes, people are going to talk about it. Cody's going to win. And then what? Like, we just move on to the next? Seraph in the chat saying, Little Guapo probably walked in the door and then had a wedding to go to. It could be a thing. Here, let's look at the Guapo phone and find out where this dude is. All right, the message is sent. Tell him to hurry the hell up. I think King of the Ring is going to be good. Again, I like the 5 matches, the smaller number of matches that allow you to let the matches cook, to let the matches unfold a little bit better than, okay, we got 18 matches on the card. We need to go. Because it's only like a 2.5 hour show. Now, if they were doing the old school pay-per-view stuff where it's 4.5 hours, that wouldn't be a problem. But these 5 matches, I think, are going to be really good. I don't know if we're going to see it or not, but one of the things that very well could happen, we've had it every week so far, even on NXT, is the QR codes. I actually got asked about that, and I got asked if I would talk about it on the podcast, so that's what I'm going to do tonight, which is kind of why I'm waiting on Little Guapo to get in here, because I want his take on this stuff. But these QR codes and the whole Uncle Howdy thing, I'm interested to see if we see anything like that at King and Queen of the Ring. There have been some crazy ones so far, and I've kind of kept track of what they've been doing with these. And we got our first one April 15th on Raw. And I want to start by saying, like, they tried this out with the White Rabbit, and I thought that was cool. The White Rabbit, whenever Bray was coming back, I thought it was a really, really good way to do this. I really love the idea of maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't. It was there for you to find. If you didn't see it, you didn't see it. Instead of pointing out, oh, look, there's a White Rabbit. They just put it out there. And if you saw it, cool. If you didn't, cool. So I like that they're just having these QR codes kind of flash for a second, kind of glitch out. I had somebody tell me they like it because it's new and it's exciting. Did have to stop there. There's nothing new under the sun. And the person I'm about to talk about actually talked about this on a podcast recently. Chris Jericho had talked about the fact that, you know, the Y2J thing would, or he's coming, would pop up on the screen. And they played that out for months before Chris Jericho did the Y2J thing, and then again in 2007 with the Break the Code. It was cool then, it's cool now. Technology has advanced. We can do this a little different instead of just flashing something on the Titantron now. So with that advancement, I think that we've gotten really cool stuff like what we've got now with the whole Uncle Howdy and QR codes. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of these QR codes play out like, and this is dating myself, and I'm hoping that some of you know what I'm talking about, but they play out like the old mid 90s Nine Inch Nails videos. Like they're just out there. Like there's some creepy mess in that. For a lot of them are like videotapes. Like the first one said, just messages said, "Time to wake up, take my hand, things will be better, trust me." And didn't really give anything other than the sign, this symbol that we've come to find out is the symbol of Pluto and a bird. And the bird has significance because when this first started happening, the lights would go out in the arena. It would kind of glitch out, and this night bird song would start playing. Everybody's like, okay, that's kind of weird, until it started being tied to this, and then everybody was all about it. Thought it was cool on Raw. Thought it was cool that somebody caught the QR code. You hit the QR code, it takes you to a website, and it gives you codes. And like, I think the first one, if I remember right, was you had this set of letters and you had this set of letters, and you had to put them together like this in order to finish the website. So there's a lot of interaction in this. And one of the things that I feel like WWE is doing well with this is they're going across platforms. Like there's started at 8 o'clock tonight. I think there was going to be something on Twitch tonight that was supposed to be some kind of thing. But the fact that they're going across several platforms, they were on WhatsApp Tuesday, Wednesday, I don't remember which day it was, but they did a whole WhatsApp thing. They're doing Twitch. I mean, the websites, it's cross-platform, and they've got so many people interested in this that if you go to YouTube right now and just type in Uncle Howdy, there's a breakdown. Like there's several people that are breaking down every one of these, which is why I'm not going to break them down real heavily. We went from that to SmackDown April 19th, and it starts getting a little more weird. You get the wording again. "I set them free out of the miry clay. Open their eyes while you did nothing." And in this one, we see the symbol again, the Pluto symbol. We see the Nightbird, but we also see a cave, and cave starts carrying significance. And the Pluto symbol and the Nightbird, this is going to be through all of these. Like it's the constant. We're going to the next Raw, and it starts like an old Disney video. It's like coming soon. You see a house, and you see it. The camera looks like it's first person. Looks like somebody's running up there, and they drop a note. It says, "Remember who you are," and it's all these different, like there's a picture of a baby that flashes, and then there's birds, and then it's just all these crazy pictures. You go from there to SmackDown, and this is the first time we see what looks like Sister Abigail. I'm thinking really the Lion King. We see Sister Abigail, or at least what I think is Sister Abigail. It's a lady in a dress and a veil, and it's got that Sister Abigail look to it. She points, and we get the first shots of a face in a mirror, and it goes into a driving scene. And again, this is like an old Nine Inch Nails video. Like if you've never seen the video to "Hurt" by Nine Inch Nails, yes, it's not a Johnny Cash song; it's a Nine Inch Nails song. If you've never seen the video to that, go watch that video and you'll understand exactly what I mean by it looks like an old Nine Inch Nails video. We go from there to Raw. We see the same house again where they ran up to it and dropped a note, but hanging from the top of the porch is a very, very familiar lantern that's just kind of sitting there and going in and out. Like, so I mean, it ties it further to the Bray Wyatt thing because you've already got what looks like Sister Abigail, and it ties into the Bray Wyatt thing. The message comes up, says the door is open. Do you want to meet him and drown in his glory? At this point, it's starting to get kind of, a little creepy. After that, for the first time, that was on Raw. We get one on NXT. The thing that comes up with this one is this thing on NXT is where you start figuring out that whoever this character is, and everybody at this point feels that it's Uncle Howdy, and everybody knows that Uncle Howdy is Bo Dallas, and Bo Dallas is Bray's brother. I mean, so there's this whole talk about all of that, but it focuses in at the beginning of that video on the bottom of the Statue of Liberty. Of course, says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore." You start getting that savior feel to it, and it shows a bunch of crazy images, and then goes back to the words. They were broken. I didn't fix them. I accepted them. They opened the door. So you start getting this savior feeling kind of thing. From there, we're going to SmackDown, and you never know what you're going to get when you go to one of these QR codes, because when you go to the one from SmackDown, it will actually be a promo, like it's playing a video package for Cody versus AJ. So it goes into that, and it breaks down into Sister Abigail, and there's this distorted voice again, much like a Nine Inch Nails video. Says, "Our pain becomes his. We were reborn because we believe." And something kind of cool happens in that. The screen flickers a little bit, and the E in believe becomes an O. So it says, "We believe." And it's only for just a second. Like, if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it. But there's a point where it says, "We believe." Again, tying this to Bo Dallas. After that, it starts getting really, really cryptic. We're up to May 6th, Raw. It comes up, says, "Drink from his suffering. Even now you doubt us, but soon you'll understand that all we ever wanted was a chance." I don't know exactly how they're going to play this out, but I love the way they're just dropping little hints here and there. Probably the biggest one, the longest one we've had was the SmackDown on the 10th. And it was all messages. It said, it started, well, when you go to it, it starts out with the "Then, Now, Forever Together," the intro that you get on anything from WWE, except it starts distorting, and you start getting words, like you start getting messages on the screen. It says, "They put us in the cave, told us to behold the glory. We watched in awe, consumed their lies. We were never the chosen ones, left in the cave to rot, to be forgotten. But he set us free. Now we understand. We follow the prophecy, the words of the red." And that's important, that whole words of the red thing, because it ties back to a Bray Wyatt promo where he says, "I'm the color red in a world of black and white." "Soon you will understand. The tears we shed watered our antipathy and blossomed a garden of revulsion. There's no safe space, only my family." Of course, when Bray Wyatt started out, it was the Wyatt family. There's no question at this point that they're tying this to Bray and to the Wyatt family and to the rumored Wyatt Six. Went to Raw after that, and you had all it was. You go to the QR code, and there's a list, 20 JPEGs, just listed. And you click on them, and they're all different little notes with smiley faces on them. Do you know who? Do you want to meet him? We tried to tell you. You still don't believe us. If you don't see, you're not looking. Do you want to meet him? There's just all the things. And they all have smiley faces on them, which is important. And I'll talk about why in a minute. The thing that happens in that's the craziest is if you go back and watch some of the things from The Fiend, when Bray Wyatt was doing the whole Fiend thing, he went to a therapist. And the thing that comes up after you look at all these pictures, I think it's the last picture, is a picture of a newspaper article that shows a picture of that therapist. It says local therapist gone missing. So they're tying all sorts of stuff into this. On the 16th, we got a Twitch stream that was the therapist looking at all these notes that are the different JPEGs. It brought up the date 4/17, which is funny because for April 17th was the date that the Bolieve promo or video package came out. The therapist kept asking, who are these people? Because the notes talk about the people and they're like, who are these people? And then she goes missing. So that's kind of crazy. On the 17th, we get a picture of a young boy. We're not sure whether it's Taylor Rotunda, which is Bo Dallas, or whether it's Bray, but he's got his face painted like a skeleton. And there's a distorted voice that just keeps repeating, he is nobody, he is all of us. He is nobody, he is all of us. And at the very end, it's like a super zoomed in close up of his face, says, do you want to meet him? Then, of course, the last one on the 20th, we get a name that is Wendy Lucho, spelled Lucho. And some of the people on the interwebs that have more time than I do to look at stuff like that have figured out that that is an anagram for Uncle Howdy. That when you pull up the website on that, you find this Wendy Lucho thing because it asks a bunch of questions and they're yes, no questions. And if you click yes to all of them, it takes you to that. If you click no to all of them, it starts over. I mean, there's people that are going through and trying every way to do this. But that's what you come up with. Now, that's where we're at as far as QR codes right now, which leads you to wonder, okay, who are the Wyatt Six? They're plugging this so hard. So who is it? Of course, chat, if you have any thoughts about this, I want to hear it. I want to hear from you as well. I think they've kind of given it to us. Of course, Eric Rowan recently re-signed by the WWE. I feel like he's a part of it. Eric Rowan, a tie to Bray Wyatt as he was part of the original Wyatt family. Feel like Nikki Cross is a member, which makes sense because if you watch Nikki Cross the last few times she was on TV, which has been a long time, but the last few times she was on TV, she just had this blank stare and she was just off in the background and just kind of staring at things. And so to use that to tie it into, we were in the cave, he found us, I think that works well. Dexter Lumis, I feel like Dexter Lumis is a part of this. Dexter Lumis has always had that, I'm a serial killer, I'm a psychopath, I don't talk, I just beat people up and kill people. He's always slow, methodical. He fits really well. I talked about smiley faces on the letters. I think that has to do with Joe Gacy. Joe Gacy does the smiley face thing, and he's been, as they say it in this, lost for a while. So I wonder if that's Joe Gacy. And then, of course, we have Uncle Howdy, Bo Dallas. And last but not least, Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss, of course, her and the Fiend, they had the whole thing, and she got dark and scary. And I really feel like she's the one that had the Sister Abigail stuff on. So I personally think that's your list. Eric Rowan, Nikki Cross, Joe Gacy, Dexter Lumis, Alexa Bliss and Uncle Howdy. That's your Wyatt Six. I mean, I didn't say it. I didn't say that. You know, why she gotta be an X for? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Before y'all start, calling Mandy. I'm kidding. She's got her dude, she's a big fan of The Rock, calls that her boyfriend. I may or may not have a thing for Alexa Bliss and Liv Morgan, but it is what it is, But I think there's a lot to do. Like they can go a lot of different directions with this whole Wyatt family thing, and I think that they should. My concern, and it's something I've talked to Rick about, and he shares this concern, is this has to be done correctly, or you're going to turn a lot of people off to it right away because, the Wyatt Six, that was Bray Wyatt. That was his thing. And it's cool to have Bo come in to continue it. And it seems that he's going to continue it as, I'm channeling my brother. I hear the voice of my brother. But at some point he's got to make it a Bo Dallas thing, an Uncle Howdy thing, not a Bray Wyatt thing. Otherwise, it's going to be viewed as, you're just trying to make money off of the Bray thing. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I'm hoping it doesn't come off that way. And I'm hoping it doesn't, be really, really cool for 2 weeks and then fizzle out, because this is a lot of buildup for something like that to happen. And it's happened before with some of the things they've done. So I really hope that that's not the case this time, but I feel like there's a lot of places they could go with this. I feel like the first thing they do is go after the Judgment Day, because they're the only stable large enough, except for the LWO. I mean, they're the only stable large enough to do something with this. It would have to be after Rhea gets back. I really do feel like that's kind of where they go with it. I'd like to hear, of course, always throwing it out there. I want to hear from the chat. What do you guys think? Where do they go with this? Who's going to be in the Wyatt Six? If you've got thoughts or comments on it, make sure to put them in the chat. I really like that they're doing it the way they're doing it, and like it's building on itself each time they do it. Excuse me. Like at first, it was just a little glitchy thing that happens, and now it's to the point that the commentators are making note of it. Oh, this thing happened, and I went and watched one of the QR codes the other day, and the therapist got kidnapped, and it's just a whole thing. So like it's building on itself every time they do it, and I like that. You're not wrong, Sarah. Dry throat caused by no co-host tonight, and I will cuss him thoroughly as soon as the show's over. But I really hope that this plays out in a way that all of this wasn't for nothing, because it's got the opportunity to be really, really good. I really like the LWO is big enough to do something with the Wyatt Six, but I don't know that they would. I wouldn't mind, you heard me talk about I don't think it will be for nothing. I think it's going to blow everyone's minds. Seraph, I'm hoping you're right. I hope that it does just that. And I hope they don't use any of the bigger gimmicks from the Bray Wyatt stuff, like the Fiend stuff, or even the Eater of Worlds stuff. Like, I hope they don't have the door and it kicks open and the light. Like, that was Bray's thing. Don't do that. Do it a different way. But if they do this correctly, it's going to be outstanding. And I was talking earlier about Finn Balor and how I just can't stand the way they have Finn Balor right now. Wouldn't it be something to see, Uncle Howdy, they battle with the Judgment Day and Uncle Howdy turn Finn Balor, and we get the Demon King Finn Balor back. Remember, And that could happen because you've got the notes. Remember who you are. Remember who you are. That seems to be a theme throughout all the clues that are being left is remember who you are. So if we could get that kind of thing to happen, I think it would be awesome. I am looking forward to seeing how many of these predictions we did for King and Queen of the Ring, how many of them are right. We're kind of keeping score a little bit, me and the boys, just to see kind of how it goes. I think there's some good stories that can come out of this. I think the biggest story that comes out of this, like, yes, they're building the Liv Morgan revenge tour, and yes, Cody gets to defend his title again and be the babyface champion. But I think I guess the two biggest stories that I think are going to come out of this are Lyra Valkyria getting whichever person wins tomorrow night. If she can beat them, then she's cemented her place in the main roster and cemented herself as a contender. So I really think the big story is going to be Lyra Valkyria, and I feel like the Sammy and Chad Gable thing going through this is going to be a big deal. Like it's going to be one of the focal points of Raw moving forward. Is this particular feud? I think we're in kind of a holding pattern, and you guys can tell me what you think. But I feel like it's kind of a holding pattern until we get, Drew's out, CM Punk's out, Seth is out. Like a lot of the big players are out with injury right now. Rhea's out. I mean, I think we're kind of in a holding pattern until we get them back. And things are going to change up a lot once we do. I don't know. It's looking good. Like it's looking like SummerSlam. If people can get healthy at the times that it looks like they're going to get healthy, SummerSlam is going to be the show to watch because we're going to get. I feel like we get the Chad Gable title change. Chad gets the Intercontinental Championship by SummerSlam. I feel like Liv takes the title at SummerSlam and we get Rhea back. I feel like by SummerSlam we're going to have Drew and CM Punk. I feel like by SummerSlam we're going to have LA Knight taking the title from Logan Paul. Yeah. Like I feel like that's going to be a thing. So though we're in a holding pattern, it's a holding pattern for a good reason, and I think the stories to come take all the things from that guy. I agree. Take everything from him. But and I'm going to go ahead and assume that Seraph is talking about Logan Paul, but from a business standpoint, he's got Prime in the middle of every PLE ring. Like he's got the Prime mat in there and he's got Prime on the top turnbuckle. Like the man is making his money when it comes to the WWE. He's a champion and he's got the endorsements, and I'll give it I don't like the dude, but the dude is making his money, so more power to him on that. Well, it would appear that my son is not going to make it in after all. We're about 9:20. I have gone through this a little faster than I thought I would, so we're going to go ahead and go into the final thoughts. I feel like we're in a good place as wrestling fans, whether it be the big guys, whether it be WWE, AEW, and I'm not even going to get started on AEW. Yes, Tony Khan, you're still a clown, and you'll always be a clown. That's just you and Dave Meltzer. Yeah. But whether it's AEW or WWE or TNA or any of the big dogs, or whether it's independent wrestling, it's a good day to be a wrestling fan. And there's big things coming this year. Speaking of independent wrestling, of course, we've got Hot Blooded coming up in July 13th. It's going to be an awesome show. I didn't mention this when we were talking about head games, but I'll mention it now. Justin Taylor, the living proof, after retaining his BCW heavyweight champion, will be going up against Brick Savage. You heard that right. Brick Savage Levelland, Texas. He's going to be in the building. He's going to be going against Justin Taylor for that BCW belt, that World Heavyweight Championship. I am stoked. I'm putting it out there to the world now, putting it out to the internet, so it's out there and people have heard it. I'm going to do everything I can to get Brick Savage on the show. I'm in contact with him already. I'm seeing what I can do, but I'm definitely trying to get him on the show. That, of course, is BCW Hot Blooded on July 13th. And then we've got the biggest weekend of the summer. Not one, but 2 shows. Daddy Boss 74 saying we're going to need a bigger building. You ain't wrong about that. It's going to be something. But yeah, the biggest weekend, not one, but 2 shows. Friday, July 19th will be Equal Rights and Lefts. The cool thing, and this is brought to you by Squared Circle Pro. The Equal Rights and Lefts is not only going to be an amazing show, it's an all women's show. It's an all ladies event. When I say all ladies, I mean it's female talent, all the matches are going to be female talent, female referees, female announce team, female ring announcer. Like, it is a female show. It is a ladies show. And I, for one, am stoked for it because I've heard the names that are going to be there and I cannot wait. I will have those names for you coming up next show. I've got to get them from Rick again, but it's going to be outstanding. And immediately following that, on Saturday, we will have Headlocks and Heat Waves, Saturday, July 20th. So back-to-back, just huge shows. And from what I understand, Brick may hang around for a little while and go from a BCW show to the next weekend, heading over to Squared Circle Pro. So it's going to be wild, and I, for one, can't wait for it. If you've never experienced Texas Independent Wrestling, this is the time to do it, especially these 3 shows. Hot Blooded on the 13th, Equal Rights and Lefts on the 19th, and Headlocks and Heat Waves on the 20th, because all 3 of these shows are going to be banger after banger after banger match. Like, it's going to be great. So if you haven't experienced it, make sure you get your tickets. As always, tickets for Squared Circle Pro at the door, $10. Jake's Backroom. Got something new going on. Got to throw some flowers out there for Mike. If you want tickets to your BCW shows, not only can you get them at Tobacco Express Liquors, but now you can go to bcwprowrestling.com. There's a link there that will take you to the site to buy your tickets. You can get your general admission tickets. You can get VIP tickets. All of that right there on bcwprowrestling.com. So congrats to Mike for getting that set up. That's awesome. I'm just looking forward to what this summer has to bring. It's going to be, July is going to be a hell of a month. We are going to do something a little new. Next Thursday, I am bringing on a guest that we haven't had on the show before. His name is Professor Bear. He is going to come on. He's going to talk about, he's just going to kind of chop up some wrestling with us. And he's going to introduce us to an app that's on several different platforms that's going to allow us as wrestling fans to watch some of the older matches, some of the newer matches. So I will be putting more information about that out on socials later this week. So be prepared for that. And I hope to see each and every one of you here again. Again, thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you to everybody that's watching, everybody that's listening, everybody that's watching after the fact. Make sure you go to the socials. Make sure you go to YouTube. Make sure you click all the things. Get at us if you want some Not Your Average merch. And that's going to do it for me. Until next Thursday, I am Guapo. I am your host. I am the tutorial boss. And I am not your average Mark. I'll see y'all next Thursday. Yeah.
inside my head.